One of the main characters that you've explored throughout for decades now
Yes.
has been the great Kabbalist Avraham Abulafia.
Yes.
Some people say that he's your pet Kabbalist, like Shalom had Shabtai Tzvi, for example. That he's been a pet Kabbalist for you, and you really spent a lifetime with the man.
Yes.
I'm curious, is there a sense of, we said how there's a capacity to get to the phenomenon of a text. Do you ever feel that you can get inside his mind, that you know what he's thinking?
I am sure that I can identify a text of his having one page. I don't believe that I know how he's thinking. I know his vocabulary. I can imagine what will be his reaction to something theoretical, meaning to a question that
Right. A hypothetical.
meaning he didn't write about.
Right.
I can imagine what will be. I'm not totally sure, but I don't. Meaning, I believe he was a fascinating figure, but it's not me alone. Also,
Sure.
people like Eco and Derrida.
Sure.
Who
I mean, to be fair, largely through you and largely because of you.
I believe he was an interesting mind.
Can I ask maybe a bizarre question? Do you love him?
To a certain extent, yes.
Mm.
But the reasons are not exactly the depths, but his courage
Mm.
to be himself
Mm.
and not to subscribe, not to, how to put it, to answer all the criticism. And to, as a person, I believe that he was fascinating.
Yeah.
You don't have too many people like this in Judaism, except of Spinoza or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, love, I don't know exactly, but for sure I admire him as a thinker.
Right. I hear that. Why did you choose him? Why was that? I mean, you described it as a bit of a mistake before, but
Yes.
it's gone beyond that at this point, hasn't it?
First, meaning, I didn't intend to write about him. I can say I scarcely heard the name. But there was a problem with my PhD on philosophy. Professor Ephraim Gottlieb, I was his assistant in matters of Kabbalah, told me, look, why don't you write about the commentaries on the Guide of the Perplexed of Abulafia? So I thought that's perfect.
Right.
So I spoke with Pines. Pines was reticent, but I decided I'm going to write about it. First, there was a lot of material unknown. A lot. So that's exactly what I was looking for. Meaning things that I can read and don't have to finish immediately. And then I discovered more manuscripts, and there are many issues that I didn't write, and I'm writing even now. Look, there are professors of philosophy or history of philosophy, or all their lives are writing about a philosopher.
Of course.
So I don't do it, but given the fact that Abulafia wrote something like 40, 50
Right.
books, which are difficult,
Right.
and they are often misunderstood. I see nothing bad about it
Right.
to write over the years.
No, I think it's a wonderful service. You brought him in many ways from obscurity back into a reputable place. And this is not a fair question because you've written something like half a dozen books on him, and not just light books. You've written serious, 300-page works. What is it that sits? What's the core of his system? What is it that makes him tick? What's the beating heart of Abulafia, if you could condense it?
I believe that his courage to go against the grain, against the current, to say Kabbalah that all the Kabbalists are claiming is not Kabbalah.
Yeah.
He has another Kabbalah, and he built it to a great extent from the scratch.
Yeah.
And he had to argue about it. he was excommunicated, and that's the real drama in the history of Kabbalah.
Yes.
So Kabbalah people claim I received, and okay, I should divulge something. He was very courageous.
But what's the core point that he's trying to get across in his philosophy, in his own idiosyncratic Kabbalah?
That he can become one with the deity, because his intellect and the God as divine is a mind. So it's a radical claim, which even Sholem was afraid to allow. And I believe that the main, how to put it, trigger of creating techniques, how to do it. Attempting to show that is the core of Judaism.